Intel Corporation is just like the Democratic Party in the sense that they want to have their cake and eat it too. For the Democrats, it comes down to their efforts to appease every single minority group, including women. And what they don't realize is that all these minority groups, they often have interests that are in conflict with each other. For Intel Corporation, it comes down to their diversity protocol. What they don't realize is that deliberately bringing in people of diversity means that other people that are not of diversity, i.e. white people, are excluded from the hiring process. I want to go over comments made by Intel CEO. He stated that people worry that as a white man, you're kind of under siege to a certain extent. There's been a bit of resistance. We've even had a few threats and things like that on some of our leadership team around our position on diversity and inclusion. We stand up there and just remind everybody it's not an exclusive process. We're not bringing in women or African Americans or Hispanics in exclusion to other people. We're actually just trying to bring them in and be a part of the whole environment. That's a great speech, but the problem is that you are excluding people, but you're taking credit by stating that you're not excluding people. And that is one of the things that really drives me crazy about the current liberal environment in which we live. Because look, when you deliberately bring in women or African Americans or Hispanics, not because they're qualified, but because they are women, African Americans, or Hispanics, that means that you will, by default, exclude other people. This is very evident when you stated, the CEO of Intel stated that he has seen a 30% increase in its minority workforce, and that over the past year, executives noted that 43.3% of its new hires were either women or minorities. Clearly, you are making an aggressive push to be very inclusive towards women and minorities. However, jobs are not an infinite resource. There's not an infinite number of jobs. You can't just create jobs, because if you just start inflating the number of jobs at Intel, that means that you have to somehow dilute the salary of all the people that work there. And that's obviously not going on. Intel just cut 11% of its workforce. That roughly amounts to 11,000 jobs. 11,000 jobs were cut. And this is not the fault of the diversity protocol. I mean, the 11,000 jobs were lost because Intel is highly levered towards the semiconductor, towards the PC market. And that market, the PC market, is dying a very slow, protracted death. It's a matter of inevitability that that market will not necessarily become obsolete, but practically obsolete. There's not a whole lot of profitability potential in struggling to stay on top of the PC market. That PC market is quicksand. It is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking, whereas mobile and wireless computers, the tablets, the smartphones, the demand for building those types of products, those computer chips that service those needs, that's growing. But the PC market is dying. PC is dying. Because it's dying, Intel was forced to make this 11% workforce reduction. So clearly we have an economic situation where jobs at Intel are not an infinite resource. That means necessarily by default that somebody is going to get the shaft. You can't have in this quicksand environment where your primary market is shrinking, you cannot state that you are making an aggressive push for minorities and women and still say that you're not excluding white people. Of course you're excluding white people. Of course you are. That is a default nature of what you are doing. And in the market in which you are in, you are excluding white people. It's not that, I think that is wrong. I think it's wrong to have any kind of racial programs. I think that it impugns the ability of hardworking women and minorities who do have the ability to work in these jobs without the stigma of being an affirmative action case. I think affirmative action is morally wrong. I think it is ethically wrong. It takes away the dignity of earning something. It really does. And so exclusion or deliberate inclusion through racial characteristics alone, I think that is a reprehensible policy. But here's the issue here. If you are going to implement such a diversity protocol, at least have the integrity, at least have the honesty to say so, at least have the integrity to say to your white workers, we need to get rid of you to make more room for women, African Americans, and Hispanics. Because you're not saying that, because you're playing this game that it's not about exclusion, it's about inclusion, you are drawing the ire of white workers. That's why you're getting those death threats. That's why people are pissed off at you. And that's why Intel will continue to struggle until you grow some balls. Intel, I'm talking to you, grow some balls, man up to your decisions, and tell it like it is.